So this is going to be siphon fun time. I didn't make myself a lot of sanitizing solutions, so this is a terrible thing I'm doing right now. But I don't want to make more sanitizing solution, and so I'm hell-bent on doing this in one go. So we're going to sanitize the outside of this and then sanitize the inside of this. We're just going to do it very carefully. So we're going to actually move this to the sink so that when we squirt everywhere, make sure we sanitize the whole length of this thing. Okay, that is sanitized. So I'm gonna very carefully remove this apparatus. This is a very important lesson, actually. You should be paying very close attention. Sometimes you really want to do something some way because it's going to be nice and easy, but you got to be willing to back off when you realize that you are about to do something really stupid. And this was one of those cases. I realized I was about to do something really stupid and backed off and switched to the siphon approach. So we're going to siphon. You can see this is very cloudy, so we have a lot of particulate matter in here. That will eventually settle out. We just gotta get it over into our jugs and fermenting. There's probably a lot of hibiscus and hop debris in here. Okay. Now to move the hose. Usually when you're siphoning, you want to avoid air running through whatever you're siphoning, because it's usually bad to be introducing air into things you usually siphon. Although in this case, this you would normally would be a thing that you would pour and be trying to get oxygen into. Since this is at the start of the process, you are hoping for some amount of oxygenation here. So in this case, it's not so bad that we're sending air bubbles through the hose. Actually, I could probably even take advantage of that to increase aeration. Although it looks like it'll slow things down if I do. I want the must in there more than I care about the foam being a giant mess. Sometimes brewing is just messy. Okay. It turns out there's a lot of must left. It's significantly more than I expected. So let's see what we can do about that. If we look inside, we can tilt this a little and you'll notice that there is a lot of muck in the bottom. It's hops and hibiscus, but we want to try and save as much of this and ferment as much of this as possible. So I'm going to very carefully, now that it doesn't weigh 20 pounds, pour it into my third container here. There is a lot of debris going across, but hopefully I can pour carefully enough that we'll see when the really bad stuff is about to go over, and then we can make a call about whether we want to save this or not. Well, that's getting pretty thick, so I'm going to consider that waste. still, that's probably like at least half a gallon extra, so I'll take half a gallon extra of mead. So critical thing, we gotta make sure that we get a gravity for this, so let's do a quick gravity check. Ooh, just wants to pop right up. My last mead was a little bit denser than this, but it's probably because of all the water that we got in here. Misjudged the water, but that's okay. So if you're looking at this, hopefully you can see 1.08 is below, 1.070 is above. We're looking at 1.075. This will be a light mead when it's done. Won't be the most alcoholic thing we've ever drank, but hopefully it'll taste good. So lesson is, we probably had a little bit too much water in this before we went to the boil. Next time I'll have to be a little bit more careful with my water. If I was really insistent on it, I could go back and try and boil off water, but I'm not that insistent on it. If I really wanted to, I could find some honey and put that in here to raise the gravity, but I think I'm just going to accept this situation and consider it an experiment, hopefully a delicious one. So, yeast time. Our mead needs yeast. So, it's got yeast food. It's got yeast nutrients. Just needs yeast. So, this is our yeast. Where's my sanitizing solution? I'm going to sanitize my yeast. I will sanitize something to cut the yeast open with. And we're going to, as per the directions, rehydrate this. So 50 milliliters. The only thing in my apartment that will measure 50 milliliters is a shot glass with measurements on it. So that's 25, 50. This is normally, this is labeled as wine yeast. Wine yeast is what's preferable for mead. And this is actually less yeast than you usually pitch for beer. So we're gonna get these guys rehydrated. Once they're rehydrated, we'll split them up between the gallons and have them have a feast. Yeast feast. Now somehow we have to divide our yeast into portions so that our mead can get the right amount. And we're eyeballing this now at this point. There's about 2.5 gallons. I have 50 milliliters of yeast solution, so we're gonna try and do 20, 20, and 10. So my inner chemist is coming out. I am super happy I bought these things. It was an emergency buy, and they've been great. Oh, I'm losing yeast. That's just terrible. Ah, damn it. It's 20, 20, and 10-ish. Even though we had casualties, hopefully it'll be okay. So let's go feed the yeast. So my 10 is going to go in with the smaller batch.
Oh, thank you.
And then the 20s, I'm gonna go in with the bigger ones. Yeasties, you're supposed to be on the inside, not the outside. It is what it is. So now they need traps. And by what I mean by traps is airlocks. So here's a jury rigging experiment because apparently I have many broken airlocks and not
You
quite
want to
enough.
put that on the smaller one?
It's probably a good idea. Might as well risk smaller batches. So these guys have airlocks. Now I just gotta find one more airlock and we'll be in business.